6 months after the demonstration, Earth had become the most popular destination in the galaxy. Ships from dozens of species arrived daily, carrying military officers who wanted to learn human defensive techniques. The planet that aliens had, once called naked and primitive, was now teaching the galaxy how to fight. Captain Lisa Ross stood on the observation deck of the new Terran Defense Academy, watching alien cadets practice mobile tactics in Earth's orbit. Crystalline beings learned to pilot fast attack ships, while tree-like Vorthax studied quantum communication systems. It was a sight that would have been impossible just months earlier. The Meridian Empire just requested 50 more training slots, reported Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison as he joined Lisa at the window. Their homeworld was attacked last week, but this time they fought back successfully using our methods. Lisa smiled as she watched a squadron of mixed alien and human fighters perform coordinated maneuvers. How many worlds have adopted the naked planet doctrine now? 47 and counting, Jake replied. Even some of the most heavily shielded planets are removing their barriers and building mobile defenses instead. The transformation had been dramatic. Planets that had hidden behind energy shields for centuries were now exposing themselves to space, trusting in mobility and adaptation rather than walls and barriers. The results spoke for themselves as worlds that had been repeatedly conquered began winning their first defensive victories in generations. Dr. Frank Torres had become famous throughout the galaxy after publishing his book, The Naked Planet Doctrine. The former Earth strategist now traveled between star systems, teaching alien military academies how to think differently about defense and survival. In his latest lecture on the crystalline homeworld, Frank explained the principles that were revolutionizing galactic warfare. True security comes not from hiding behind defenses, but from developing the capacity to adapt, survive, and strike back. A moving target is always harder to hit than a stationary fortress. General Nancy Cox oversaw the new academy's training programs from her office in the Colorado mountains. She had been amazed by how quickly alien species learned human tactics once they overcame their mental dependence on shields and barriers. The Helian Empire graduates are particularly impressive, she told her staff during their weekly meeting. Their electrical biology makes them natural pilots for our stealth fighters. They can interface directly with ship systems in ways that even humans can't match. The Academy's success had attracted attention from across the galaxy, but the real test came when long-range sensors detected something that made every species tremble with fear. The Void Swarm was approaching from beyond the galactic rim, a force of destruction that had consumed entire star systems in other galaxies. Emergency. Sessions convened on every major world as the galaxy prepared to face its greatest threat in recorded history. The Void Swarm had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than any current galactic species. Their adaptive technology could break through any shield and overwhelm any fortress. President Claire Thompson received urgent communications from dozens of worlds begging Earth to coordinate the galactic defense. The species that had once mocked humanity's naked planet now looked to Earth for salvation. Every fortress world in the Void Swarm's path has already fallen, reported Admiral Susan Hayes during the emergency council meeting. Their shields lasted less than an hour against the swarm's adaptive weapons. The survivors are fleeing toward the galactic core. The scope of the threat was enormous. The Void Swarm consisted of millions of self-replicating ships that learned from every battle. They had perfected the art of breaking through defensive barriers by studying and adapting to whatever protection they encountered. This is exactly the kind of enemy that traditional defenses can't stop, observed Dr. Rebecca Foster. They're designed to overwhelm fixed positions and break through static barriers, but they've never faced an opponent that refuses to stay in one place. Earth took command of the galactic defense, coordinating a resistance that abandoned every conventional military doctrine. Instead of meeting the Void Swarm with massive fleets and fortress worlds, the galaxy would fight like humanity had always fought, mobile, adaptive, and impossible to pin down. Captain Don Miller led the first engagement against Void Swarm Scouts near the galaxy's outer rim. His mixed fleet of human and alien ships used hit-and-run tactics, striking the enemy probes and disappearing before they could adapt to the attacks. "The swarm is trying to analyze our weapons and tactics," Don reported after the skirmish. "But every time they adapt to one approach, we switch to something completely different. They can't lock onto a pattern that keeps changing." The strategy worked better than anyone had hoped. The Void Swarm's greatest strength was their ability to adapt to enemy defenses, but they couldn't adapt to defenses that refused to stay the same. Human-trained forces appeared from unexpected directions, struck with different weapons each time, and vanished before the swarm could respond effectively. Commander Ryan Foster coordinated the defense of the Meridian system using principles. That would have been impossible before the Naked Planet Revolution. Instead of protecting the inhabited worlds directly, his forces drew the Void Swarm into a running battle through the system's asteroid fields. "Let them chase us through the rocks," Ryan ordered his fleet commanders. "Every minute they spend hunting our mobile platforms is time their main force isn't advancing toward the core worlds." The final confrontation came at the edge of civilized space, where the entire Void Swarm encountered a galaxy that had learned to fight like Earth. Naked planets worked together as a unified organism, their exposed populations becoming the galaxy's greatest strength rather than its weakness. The battle lasted for weeks as mobile fleets struck from every direction. Planets that had once hidden behind shields now launched waves of fighters from hidden bases. Manufacturing centers relocated constantly, staying ahead of the swarm's advance while producing replacement ships and weapons. Admiral Zex Thon, now a convert to human military philosophy, commanded a fleet of crystalline ships that fought with tactics his ancestors would never have recognized. "Target their command nodes and scatter," he ordered his captains. "Don't let them mass their forces against any single target." The turning point came when the Void Swarm realized they couldn't adapt fast enough to counter the galaxy's new fighting style. For the first time in their existence, they faced enemies that were more adaptable than they were. After suffering unprecedented losses, the swarm began its retreat back toward extragalactic space. As the threat faded, Admiral Zex Thon sent a message that reached every world in the galaxy. "We spent millennia building walls to hide behind, when we should have been learning to dance in the open. Earth taught us that sometimes, to be truly protected, you must be willing to stand naked under the stars." The galaxy had learned the most important lesson in military history. True strength comes not from armor, but from the courage to remain vulnerable yet unconquerable. The alien observers gathered in the meeting room aboard Admiral Zex Thon's flagship 3 hours after the exercise ended. The crystalline admiral's face showed confusion and anger as he reviewed the battle recordings. Around the table, representatives from 12 species whispered among themselves, trying to understand what they had witnessed. "This is impossible," declared Commander Yex Prime of the Helian Empire. His metallic body sparked with electrical discharges that showed his agitation. "Our sensors detected no major defensive installations before the exercise began. Where did all those weapons come from?" Admiral Zex Thon slammed his 4 fists on the table. "The humans must be using forbidden technology. No conventional defense system could have defeated our combined fleets. I demand an immediate investigation." Ambassador Lisa Martinez entered the meeting room, followed by Dr. Rebecca Foster, Earth's lead defensive theorist. Rebecca was a quiet woman who had spent her career studying military strategy, but few people outside Earth knew her name. Today she would explain to the galaxy why their entire approach to warfare was wrong. "Honored representatives," Lisa began, "Dr. Foster will answer your questions about Earth's defensive capabilities." Zex Thon pointed an accusing finger at the human women. "Your planet violated the rules of engagement. You used concealed weapons and hidden bases that were not declared before the exercise." Rebecca smiled calmly. "We used exactly what we told you we had. Mobile defense platforms, distributed manufacturing, and adaptive tactics. You assumed that meant something weak and primitive. But our scans showed nothing, protested the Vorthak delegate, a creature that looked like a walking tree. Your planet appeared completely defenseless. That was the point, Rebecca replied. You were looking for shields and barriers because that's all you know how to see. We built our defenses to be invisible until activated. She activated a holographic display that showed the asteroid bases opening up. These platforms have been in position for 15 years. They look like ordinary rocks because they are ordinary rocks. We hollowed them out and installed weapons systems inside. The alien observers studied the images with growing amazement. The human defensive installations were unlike anything in galactic military doctrine. Instead of massive fortresses that announced their presence, Earth had created defenses that could hide in plain sight. Colonel Tim Anderson, Earth's manufacturing specialist, joined the presentation. Our industrial philosophy is different from yours. While you build fixed factories on protected worlds, we designed mobile manufacturing systems that can relocate within hours. He showed images of Earth's underground production facilities. If our main factories are destroyed, we can set up new ones anywhere in the solar system. Our industrial capacity can't be eliminated by attacking specific targets. The crystalline delegate's body pulsed with confused light patterns. This approach makes no sense. How do you protect your manufacturing if it's always moving? We don't protect it, Tim replied. We make it too mobile to catch and too distributed to destroy completely. You can't kill what you can't find. Engineer Carol Stevens stepped forward to explain Earth's infrastructure systems. Your civilizations rely on centralized power grids and communication networks protected by planetary shields. When those shields fail, everything stops working. She displayed Earth's distributed power system. We built our infrastructure to work around damage. If you destroy our power plants in one area, the system automatically reroutes through facilities. In other regions, our civilization can function even after losing major components. The alien representatives struggled to understand this concept. For thousands of years, galactic civilization had focused on building stronger walls and better shields. The idea of systems designed to survive damage rather than prevent it was completely foreign to them. Admiral Zex Thon reviewed the tactical recordings again, paying attention to how human fighters had moved during the battle. Your coordination was impossible. Ships separated by millions of kilometers responded to each other instantly. No communication system works that fast. Lieutenant Sam Brooks explained Earth's quantum communication network. We use entangled particles to create instantaneous links between all our military units. Every ship, every base, every fighter can share information at the speed of thought. But quantum entanglement is unstable over long distances, objected the Meridian delegate. The links should break down. Only if you try to send complex data, Sam replied. We use simple binary codes that maintain entanglement across the entire solar system. Our network thinks like a single brain with billions of nerve endings. Dr. Rebecca Foster took control of the presentation again. The real difference between our approaches is psychological. Your species have lived behind shields for so long that you've forgotten how to fight in the open. She showed recordings of shielded worlds under attack. Watch how the defenders behave when their barriers fail. They panic because they have no experience with real combat. Their populations have been protected for generations. The images were devastating. When the shields finally fell, the inhabitants of fortress worlds had no idea how to defend themselves. They had become dependent on their walls and lost the ability to think tactically. Earth's population has never had shields to hide behind, Rebecca continued. Every human learns basic survival skills because we know we're exposed. Our military trains for fighting without barriers because we've never had the luxury of depending on them. The alien observers watched in silence as Rebecca explained humanity's mental resilience. While shielded species had grown soft behind their walls, humans had developed the psychological toughness that came from knowing they were vulnerable. Commander, Yex Prime's electrical discharge patterns showed deep thought. You are saying that weakness made you strong? We're saying that accepting our vulnerability made us adaptable, Rebecca replied. You built walls to avoid facing threats. We learned to dance with danger. The presentation's impact became clear when several alien delegates began asking quiet questions about human training methods. The Helian Empire wanted to know about mobile manufacturing. The crystalline hegemony asked about quantum communication networks. Most shocking of all, the Vorthak delegate approached Lisa Martinez privately after the meeting. Our homeworld has been conquered 3 times in the past century, he whispered. Each time our shields failed, we were helpless. Could Earth teach us to fight without barriers? Admiral Zexthon overheard the conversation, and his crystalline body flashed with anger. You cannot seriously consider abandoning proven defensive methods for these primitive human tactics. Primitive? Lisa responded. We just defeated your combined fleets using these tactics. The alien admiral had no answer for that. His entire career had been built on the assumption that bigger shields and stronger barriers made civilizations safer. Today, a naked planet had proven him wrong. As the alien representatives prepared to return to their homeworlds, many of them carried copies of Earth's tactical manuals. For the first time in galactic history, species were questioning whether their fortress mentality was actually making them weaker. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the best armor was no armor at all. 10 days later, 3 massive alien fleets appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. The ships were enormous, each one larger than any human vessel ever built. Their hulls gleamed with energy shields and bristled with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Admiral Zexthon commanded the exercise from his flagship, a crystalline battleship called the Starhammer. He was a veteran of 100 battles and had never seen a naked planet successfully defend itself. Today, he expected to watch Earth's primitive defenses crumble within minutes. The alien fleets spread out in attack formation as they approached the inner solar system. Ships from 12 different species moved in perfect coordination, their shields shimmering like rainbow bubbles around their hulls. Long-range scanners swept ahead, looking for any sign of human defenses. Earth appeared completely helpless as the alien armada drew closer. No energy shields protected the blue planet. No orbital fortresses floated in space around it. The only visible defenses were a handful of small space stations and some communication satellites that looked too fragile to stop anything. In the hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Lieutenant Colonel Beth Sanders watched the approaching fleets on her display screens. She was Earth's defense coordinator, and for the past 10 days she had been preparing for this moment. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored systems that the aliens had no idea existed. All stations report ready, announced Sergeant Tony Clark from his position at the communications console. Mobile platforms are in position throughout the system. Beth nodded and opened a channel to Earth's defenders. This is control to all. Units, the exercise begins in 60 seconds. Remember, we're not trying to destroy them, just prove we can defend ourselves. Good hunting. The alien fleets accelerated toward Earth, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Admiral Zexthon smiled as his scanners showed no significant defensive preparations. The humans would learn today why civilized worlds needed proper protection. Begin. The attack simulation, he ordered his fleet commanders. The first wave of alien ships swept past Mars, their weapons powered up and ready to demonstrate their firepower. That was when Earth's defenses revealed themselves. Asteroids that had looked empty and lifeless suddenly split open, revealing hidden weapons platforms inside. The rocks had been hollowed out and turned into mobile fortresses that could move anywhere in the solar system. Dozens of these concealed bases activated at once, emerging from their hiding places like deadly flowers blooming in space. Captain Don Miller led the first squadron of human fighters that launched from the hidden asteroid bases. His ships were smaller than the alien vessels, but much faster and more maneuverable. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, the human fighters used hit-and-run tactics, striking quickly and then disappearing behind cover. "Dragon Squadron, break, and scatter," Don commanded as his fighters engaged the alien ships. "Use the debris field at coordinates 7-7 Alpha. Make them chase us through the rocks." The alien pilots had never faced this kind of fighting before. They were used to battles between shielded ships that stood their ground and traded powerful blows until one side's barriers failed. The human fighters refused to fight that way, appearing from unexpected directions and vanishing before the aliens could return fire. Admiral Zex Thon frowned as he watched the battle unfold. His ships outnumbered the human fighters 10-1, but they couldn't seem to land effective hits. The humans moved like schools of fish, coordinating their movements in ways that seemed impossible. On the moon, hidden weapons arrays emerged from concealed positions. The lunar bases had been disguised to look like research stations and mining operations. Now they revealed their true nature as powerful defense platforms that could reach any point in the inner solar system. Commander Lisa Ross coordinated the lunar defenses from the hidden base on the far side of the moon. Her weapons had been charging for hours, drawing power from fusion reactors buried deep underground. When she gave the order to fire, beams of coherent energy lanced out across space, forcing the alien fleets to break formation and seek cover. "Target the command ships first," Lisa ordered her gunners. "Make their admirals worry about their own safety instead of coordinating the attack." The alien fleets found themselves under attack from directions they hadn't expected. Weapons fire came from the asteroid belt, from hidden lunar bases, and from mobile platforms that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Every time they moved to engage one threat, two more appeared behind them. Dr. Janet Price monitored the battle from Earth's Central Command Center, analyzing the aliens' responses to human tactics. She was a military psychologist who had studied alien behavior patterns for years. What she saw now confirmed her theories about shielded civilizations. "They're completely lost," she reported to Beth Sanders. "Their tactical thinking is rigid. Because they're used to fighting from behind barriers, they don't know how to adapt when the battle becomes fluid." The human defenders used their quantum communication network to coordinate attacks across impossible distances. When a squadron near Jupiter spotted an opportunity, fighters near Mars could respond instantly. The alien fleets found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to think and move as a single organism. Lieutenant Sam Brooks piloted one of Earth's newest stealth fighters, a ship designed to be nearly invisible to alien sensors. He and his wingmates moved through the enemy formation like ghosts, gathering intelligence and striking at vulnerable targets before disappearing again. "Control. This is Ghost Leader," Sam reported. "The enemy's command structure is breaking down. Their fleet commanders are issuing contradictory orders." Beth smiled as she watched the tactical display. The alien fleets were powerful, but they had no experience fighting an enemy that refused to stand still and trade blows. Human mobility was confusing them and disrupting their battle plans. The exercise reached its climax when the alien fleets attempted a coordinated strike at Earth itself. They formed up in a massive attack formation and accelerated toward the planet, hoping to overwhelm any remaining defenses through sheer firepower. That was when Earth revealed its final surprise. The planet's surface opened in 1,000 places, as launch tubes fired clouds of defensive drones into space. The small robots swarmed around the approaching alien ships like angry bees, disrupting their sensors and interfering with their weapon systems. At the same time, massive railguns emerged from concealed positions on Earth's surface. These weapons had been built into mountain ranges and hidden under artificial lakes. When they fired, streams of projectiles created an impenetrable barrier around the planet. Admiral Zex Thon watched in amazement as his fleets were forced to retreat from what should have been a helpless target. The naked planet had defended itself better than any fortress world he had ever seen. "End simulation," he ordered reluctantly. The human defenders had proven their point. Earth's nakedness was not weakness but strength. The Aurora's dawn landed at the Global Defense Center in Colorado 3 days after the meeting with the aliens. Lisa Martinez stepped off the ship feeling the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. She had 27 days to help humanity make the most important decision in its history. President Claire Thompson was waiting for them in the underground conference room. She was a former military officer who had led Earth through several crises, but nothing like this. Around the large table sat the members of the Global Defense Council, representatives from every major nation on Earth. "Tell me everything, President," Thompson said as Lisa took her seat. Lisa explained the alien ultimatum while Jake Morrison displayed holographic images of the shielded worlds. The room grew quiet as the council members realized what Earth was facing. General Kevin Wright, a veteran of the Mars colonies, was the first to speak. "We should accept their offer," he said firmly. "I've seen what advanced alien technology can do. If we refuse their protection and someone attacks us, we'll lose everything. At least this way humanity survives, even if we lose our independence." Admiral Light. Susan Hayes disagreed. She had spent her career building Earth's space defense force. "Giving up 70% of our resources means our people will starve, and having alien military bases on Earth means we become their slaves. That's not survival, that's surrender." Dr. Marcus Stone, the director of Xenological Studies, pulled up data on his tablet. "I've been studying galactic military history since we first made contact. The Admiral is right to be concerned. Every species that accepted this kind of protection eventually became a client state. They lost their independence completely." "But what choice do we have?" asked General Wright. "Earth has no planetary shields. Our military is tiny compared to galactic standards. If they expel us from the community, we'll be sitting targets for anyone who wants to attack us." Colonel Amy Johnson had been quiet during the debate. She ran Earth's classified defense programs, and few people knew what humanity had actually built over the past 50 years. Now she cleared her throat and activated a secure holographic display. "Before we decide anything, you need to see what we've really been working on," she said. The hologram showed Earth's solar system, but it looked very different from what the aliens had seen. Hidden asteroid bases appeared as glowing dots throughout the system. The moon revealed concealed weapon platforms and manufacturing centers. Mars showed underground complexes that stretched for hundreds of miles. "For the past 30 years, we've been building a distributed defense network," Amy explained. "Instead of putting shields around Earth, we've created mobile defense platforms that can appear anywhere in the solar system within hours." President Thompson leaned forward. "How mobile?" "Our platforms use quantum tunnel drives. They can move from Earth orbit to the outer planets in less than 6 hours. An attacking fleet would never know where our defenses are until they activate." Dr. Helen Brooks, who had remained silent since returning from the alien meeting, finally spoke up. "Show them the communication system." Amy nodded and changed the display. Now it showed a web of quantum-entangled transmitters spread throughout human space. Every defense platform, every ship, every major installation is connected through quantum entanglement. Our response time to any threat is instantaneous across the entire solar system. General Wright studied the display with growing amazement. "How long have we had these capabilities?" "The first platforms came online 15 years ago," Amy replied. "We've been expanding the network ever since. The aliens never bothered to do a deep scan of our system. They just looked at Earth itself and assumed we were defenseless." Admiral Hayes smiled for the first time since the meeting began. "This changes everything. We're not as helpless as they think." Dr. Stone pulled up more historical data. "There's something else we need to consider. I've been analyzing the military records of shielded worlds. Every single one that was conquered had the same weakness." "Which is?" President Thompson asked. "Their populations had no experience fighting without shields. When the barriers finally failed, the people inside had no idea how to defend themselves. They'd lived for generations believing their walls made them safe." Paul Davis, who had remained quiet since returning from the alien station, finally spoke. On Earth, we've always known we were exposed. Every human learns basic survival skills. Our military trains for fighting in the open. We've never had the luxury of hiding behind walls. Dr. Brooks nodded agreement. The aliens see our nakedness as weakness, but it might actually be our greatest strength. We've been forced to develop real defensive skills instead of just building bigger barriers. Commander Ryan Foster, Earth's tactical coordinator, stood up. I have an idea. What if we demonstrate our defensive capabilities to the galactic observers? Show them that a naked planet can defend itself better than any fortress world. The room erupted in discussion. Some council members thought it was too risky. Others believed it was their only chance to prove Earth's worth without surrendering their independence. President Thompson raised her hand for silence. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? Ryan activated his own display showing Earth's defensive capabilities in action. We invite the aliens to conduct a limited military exercise. They can bring their fleets and test our defenses with simulated attacks. If we prove that Earth can defend itself, they'll have no reason to force their protection on us. And if we fail? General Wright asked. Then we accept their terms, Ryan replied. But at least we'll know we tried. Dr. Stone looked worried. This is incredibly dangerous. If we reveal our true capabilities and still lose, they'll know exactly how to defeat us in a real attack. Amy Johnson shook her head. They already think they know how to defeat us. They believe we have no real defenses at all. The surprise factor might be our biggest advantage. President Thompson stood up and walked to the window overlooking the Rocky Mountains. For several minutes, she stared out at the peaks covered in snow, thinking about the decision that would determine humanity's future. Finally, she turned back to the council. We've spent 50 years trying to join the galactic community as equals, not as servants. If we accept their protection, we lose everything that makes us human. She looked around the table at each council member. Commander Foster, you have 10 days to prepare Earth's defenses for evaluation. We're going to show these aliens that sometimes the best armor is no armor at all. The council members began making urgent calls to military commanders around the world. Hidden bases that had been secret for decades would soon be revealed. Mobile platforms that had never been tested in combat would face the greatest challenge in human history. Lisa Martinez watched the organized chaos and felt a mix of fear and excitement. In 17 days, humanity would either prove its worth to the galaxy or face conquest by beings who saw them as primitive children needing protection. Earth was about to show the universe that naked planets could fight back. Lisa Martinez stared out the window of the spaceship Aurora's Dawn and watched the stars slowly drift by. She was Earth's ambassador to the galaxy, and today she would learn about something called Galactic Defense Protocols. The ship was heading to meet with alien representatives who wanted to discuss Earth's security. Captain Jake Morrison walked over to her with a tablet in his hands. He was a tall man with gray hair who had been flying spaceships for 20 years. Ambassador, you need to see this before we arrive, he said. The aliens have some concerns about Earth. Lisa took the tablet and looked at the images on the screen. They showed planets covered in bright energy shields that sparkled like soap bubbles. Some worlds had multiple layers of protection, with barriers floating in space around them. Others were completely hidden inside giant force fields that made them look like glowing eggs. Every civilized world in the galaxy uses these defenses, Jake explained. They build shields around their planets to protect them from attacks. Some have underground cities where everyone lives in safety. Others have atmospheric barriers that stop weapons from reaching the surface. Lisa frowned as she studied the pictures. Earth had none of these things. Their home planet was just a blue and green ball floating in space with no protection at all. Cities sat right on the surface where anyone could see them. There were no shields, no barriers, and no hidden underground homes for billions of people. What do the aliens think about Earth? Lisa asked. Jake's expression grew serious. They think we're completely helpless. They say Earth is naked and defenseless. The Aurora's Dawn docked with a massive alien space station that looked like a crystal flower floating in the void. Lisa and Jake were escorted through corridors filled with creatures from different worlds. Some looked like walking trees, others resembled giant insects, and a few appeared to be made of living metal. They entered a large meeting room where 12 different alien species waited for them. At the head of the table sat Vex Quinn, a representative, from a race called the Zeltharians. He was 8 feet tall with purple skin and 4 arms. His eyes glowed with a blue light that made Lisa feel uncomfortable. "Welcome, humans," Vex Quinn said in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "We have gathered to discuss the embarrassing state of your world's defenses." Lieutenant Commander Paul Davis, Earth's military representative, shifted in his chair. He was a young officer who had never been off Earth before this mission. Lisa could see he was nervous about meeting so many alien military experts. Vex Quinn activated a holographic display that showed Earth floating in the center of the room. The planet looked small and vulnerable compared to the protected worlds they had seen earlier. "Observe your homeworld," the alien said. "No shields protect it. No barriers hide its cities. Your people live on the surface like primitive animals waiting to be hunted." A creature that looked like a walking crystal spoke up. "In our galaxy, only the most backward worlds leave themselves so exposed. Civilized species protect their populations with proper defenses." Dr. Helen Brooks, Earth's chief strategic analyst, quietly wrote notes on her tablet. She was a small woman with sharp eyes who rarely spoke during meetings, but always listened carefully to everything being said. Another alien, this one resembling a giant mantis, clicked its claws together. "We have studied your military capabilities. You have some spaceships and weapons, but nothing that could stop a real invasion force. Your planet would fall in hours if attacked by any serious enemy." Vex Quinn nodded agreement. "This is why we have come to help you. The Galactic Council has decided to offer Earth proper defensive upgrades. We will install planetary shields, build underground cities, and create atmospheric barriers to protect your world." Lisa leaned forward. "What would this cost us?" "The price is reasonable," Vex Quinn replied. "You will provide 70% of Earth's natural resources for the next 500 years, mining rights to your asteroid belt. And of course, the Galactic Council will need to station military advisors on Earth to ensure the defenses are properly maintained." Paul Davis spoke up for the first time. "You want us to give up most of our resources and accept permanent occupation?" "Not occupation," the crystal being corrected. "Protection. Your species clearly cannot defend itself. We offer guidance and security in exchange for materials we need." Dr. Brooks looked up from her notes. "What happens to planets that refuse these upgrades?" Vex Quinn's 4 arms spread wide. "Naked worlds are not permitted in civilized space. They create security risks for everyone. If Earth refuses proper defenses, you will be expelled from the galactic community. No trade, no technology sharing, no protection from hostile forces." The room fell silent except for the humming of the space station systems. Lisa felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Earth had worked for 50 years to join the galactic community. Being expelled would mean isolation and vulnerability to any alien force that wanted to attack them. "How long do we have to decide?" Lisa asked. 30 galactic standard days, Vex Quinn replied. "That gives you enough time to return home and convince your leaders to accept our generous offer. Shield construction can begin immediately after your agreement." As the meeting ended, the alien representatives filed out of the room. Many of them looked at the humans with expressions that seemed like pity. It was clear they thought Earth was doomed without their help. Back aboard the Aurora's Dawn, the human delegation gathered in the ship's conference room. Jake Morrison started the conversation. "Well, that was about as bad as we expected. Paul." Davis shook his head. "They want to turn us into a mining colony. 500 years of giving them everything we produce, plus having their military bases on Earth. That's not protection, that's conquest." "But what choice do we have?" Lisa asked. "If we refuse, we lose all contact with galactic civilization. Earth would be alone again." And eventually someone would attack us anyway. Dr. Brooks had been quiet during the entire trip back from the station. Now she looked up from her tablet with a thoughtful expression. I've been reviewing the data they showed us about defended worlds. Something doesn't add up. What do you mean? Jake asked. Every planet they showed us with perfect defenses has been conquered at least once in the past 1,000 years. The ones with the strongest shields fell the fastest when they were finally attacked. Paul frowned. That doesn't make sense. Why would stronger defenses lead to faster defeats? Think about it, Helen continued. If you live your whole life behind a wall, what happens when someone finally breaks through that wall? You have no idea how to fight in the open. Lisa considered this. So, you think their defensive strategy might be flawed? I think we need to look at this problem differently, Helen replied. Maybe Earth's approach to defense isn't as primitive as they believe. The Aurora's Dawn continued its journey back to Earth while its crew debated humanity's future. Outside the windows, space looked vast and dangerous. But for the first time since the meeting, Lisa wondered if maybe being naked under the stars wasn't the weakness everyone thought it was. In 30 days, Earth would have to give an answer that would determine the fate of humanity for centuries to come.